Good afternoon and welcome to Rewind on the United Hour. Finally, World Cup is over. Back to the real deal, Premier League football. And we all about it here on the United Hour on the Rewind. So today we're gonna be doing it a little different. Normally we break down all the games, look through everything. This week we're gonna be focusing on the traditional Big Six plus Newcastle. So we're talking about the Big Seven and the top four race. And at the end of the program, we will all be listing who we believe the top four will be. You know what I mean? But we're going to be going through results, upcoming fixtures, and just running through all the teams. On the program with me today is the man Aaron and Tristan. How you gentlemen doing today?
Go ahead, Tristan. Go ahead, Tristan. Let the table toppers speak first.
And happy new year to everybody here, including all the Manchester United fans who's out in their glory. You see Aaron is shining, all they looking very good, coming up, sneaking up on top of the table there. So far so good. My top four predictions will stay the same.
Don't give us your top four predictions yet. We'll talk your top four predictions at the end of the show.
No problem.
All right, cool. Aaron, talk to me. How are you?
Yeah, happy new year to everybody. I know we had a little break for the World Cup. I know you guys were getting it on at different places, the 63, Dexter's. Sorry I couldn't make it, but glad to be back on the show, man. I glad to be in the company of these esteemed gentlemen here, the Arsenal fans, and always a pleasure to be on the show.
Yes. Good afternoon to Nigel on the inside. He's saying that this is his first log in for this season. Well, that's good. Well, for the year, not the season. For the year. Happy New Year to you too, brother. So before we jump into it, must give a shout out to the sponsor of this program, the fan club Trinity Mall. I don't know about you, but if you went by the fan club or your family member went by the fan club for Christmas, I know you're smiling still because the memorabilia are legit. And if you didn't, it's still open, you can make up, right? So check them out. Let's start off with the table toppers. Let's talk Arsenal Football Club. The guys who are first on the table. Let's talk about them. They sit after 17 games played. They sit top on 44 points. That is 5 points ahead of Manchester City. Let's look through the last two games quickly. So they beat Brighton first game after the World Cup 4-2 with Odegaard, Nketiah, Saka, and Martinelli on the score sheet. So they started back hot and sweaty. And then they played Newcastle to a 0-0 draw. Some people would say that they were robbed in that game. They had some very close penalty shouts that maybe should have gone their way, but it is what it is. Good afternoon on the inside to Martin Phillips. So, gentlemen, talk to me. How obviously we're going to start off with Tristan. How you feel about Arsenal and their position at the top of the table?
It's unexpected. I believe we're still the elephant on top of the tree.
That's now. You went into the break with a lead. 2 games in, you're talking about this unexpected. You expected to lose the first 2 games back?
No, I never expected to lose the 2 games back. I mean, we're in a position that everybody's still in shock. Everybody, except for the players and the manager. The fans, we're still in shock because we are, according to certain people and according to myself, we are overachieving with the squad that we have. The squad is supposed to be 25. We have 21 registered players. So we start off the season real short. Hopefully we get some reinforcements to, at least cope. Because right now is which part the league really start, January, February, which has not been favorable for us in the past few seasons. Hopefully we put the best foot forward and, at least accomplish the goal top 4. That was our main goal going into the season. If we happen to overachieve and probably sneak in a title or come in second, that'll be real plus. Other FA Cup take, I'll be over the moon, you know. But for now, I see that the board is actually backing Arteta and giving them the players and giving them what he asked for. Hopefully they could push, to get City a good run. But for now, I just staying humble. As always, optimistic.
Well,
Gabriel
I'm glad you're talking for yourself and saying you staying humble because I can't say
yeah,
all Arsenal supporters are doing the same. But
but
just so now coming back to you before we move on to the next team. Aaron, this guy here is saying, is unexpected and they overachieving. I don't know how you could sneak and win the league when you have been on top since about what, week 2? They have been on top whole season. And
Yeah.
90% of the season so far, you're
So
on top of the league. How it would be a sneak, Aaron, right?
yeah, so I mean, let me just start off where Tristan ended up. Is talking about being humble because I'm in so many WhatsApp groups with Tristan, and his messages doesn't seem to come from humility. But I mean, it's a
A man bust
being
your
a
files there, boy.
being an Arsenal fan. I mean, it's been one of the best years they've had in a long time, right? I think
True.
looking at the documentary with Arsenal, you see that the board is actually backing Arteta and he's actually getting what he wants. I always thought he was a little bit harsh on Aubameyang when he cut him out of the squad and sidelined him, but I mean, sometimes managers need to make harsh decisions. I mean, we saw that with Sir Alex. We've seen that with Ten Hag. So sometimes managers need to make harsh decisions. But I think he's really rallied the squad. He has I think the youngest squad in the Premiership. So he has a group of young players that really believe in his methods and everything that he does. So I think now is really the time to be an Arsenal fan. Um, but looking at the table and knowing how the Premiership goes, we're not even halfway in the season yet. We just almost at that mark, and it's gonna it's been a topsy turvy season with the World Cup in between. Players coming back. I mean, look that game that they had with Brighton. Brighton missed McAllister, right? So McAllister came in after that game, and you could have seen that they missed him. That would have been a key game for him to be in. But I mean, Arsenal, they pulled off a win. It was a tough game because Brighton showed they were capable of coming back, and they almost did. But the Newcastle game, I think you saw the weaknesses that they have. I do think they were a bit unfortunate in that game not to get the penalties. But Newcastle has also signaled that they deserve to be where they are, and they're a tough team to break down. They mightn't be the most free flowing scoring team, but defensively it's very difficult to break them down. So, but I mean, hats off to Arsenal. I mean, to be 17 games in, top of the table, 5 points clear City, it is a good place to be going into the business end of the season. But I think City is still the team to watch.
All right, all right. Certain Philip is saying, how are you feeling about winning the league? Now be careful what you ask for. How you respond to that?
I would say Martin Philip, happy new year to you. Secondly, I wanted to finish in the top 4 and that's what I asked for. So regardless you win the league, right direction. And I know that missing out on top 4 last season will be in the back of those young players' mind because we are the youngest team in the league. And hopefully that'll motivate them give them the extra push that they need. That'll answer that question.
Mr. Arsenal, your answer song like them politicians in Trinidad and Tobago. And we could agree with that. But moving along, let's talk next team who was second in the league, which is Manchester City. coming back from the World Cup, City started off playing Everton to a 1-1 draw. The man Haaland, the machine, the cheat code on the score sheet, but that was about it. Demari Gray scoring for Everton. They definitely did better in the follow-up week, where City would have beaten Chelsea 1-0. Mahrez getting a second half goal. I wouldn't say late, but late-ish equalizer with the assist from Grealish. Aaron, you said that you think that City are still the team to beat. City's form, to me, as best, has been skittish this season, right? I've heard a lot of people say, oh, teams playing City like the champions and they're up in the game, and that's why City was struggling against Everton and against... I didn't see that. I saw a City team that was coasting. I saw a City team that after they scored against Everton dropped their levels and that didn't play to their best against Chelsea. As I keep asking City supporters, why they don't play Manchester United like that, right? Play us like that. Like, go and play Everton, right? But they don't ever do that. They always right up when they're playing us. What do you think about this City team? Do you think that this season is going to be like the Leicester season, where they're going to have the opportunities and they're going to slip up, or you think you're going to follow through? Is it that Champions League is on City mind more than anything else? You know, do you see what I see in terms of them trying to coast through games and causing them problems? Talk to me. What you see when you look at City?
Yeah, no, I think City has a deep squad. They have a replacement player in every position, a very good replacement player in every position. I do think that coming back from the World Cup, they didn't seem to be in full flight. City is a team that gets better as the City is a team that gets better as the season goes along. So I think that you will see the improvement coming into the next 5 months. Their focus will be Champions League as well. So, but I think Pep on Pep's mind is to really achieve something that City hasn't been able to achieve in winning the championship 3 times in a row, right? So that's something Arsenal did. I think years ago United was a regular with that, but City is trying to achieve that, and I think the Champions League is definitely going to be a focus for them. But I mean, looking at the games that they played, they were lucky to take away 3 points from Chelsea. Chelsea played fairly okay. They deserved a draw at least. But I think City will get better, and they have to play. I wouldn't be surprised if they drop points against United in the next game. And but they do have to play Arsenal twice. And in that match there as well, Arsenal has a big London derby. So I think those 2 derbies are gonna weigh up a little bit. But even if City drops points, I think it's gonna be a fair share. I do think Arsenal will drop points as well. And then a lot will bank on the United Arsenal game and the 2 games that Arsenal has to play City.
True. Martin is saying Pep alone knows why he tinkers with the team. He hopes he get it right soon. Tristan, talk to me. You think Pep tinkering with the team, or
I think
because there are a lot of people that think that food.
He overanalyzed too much. He thinks too much. And with the cheat code Haaland there, it takes with that balance City on time. And everything. So what teams, I realize the smaller teams did for him not to score. Sorry to call Liverpool, but Liverpool did for Haaland not to score is they take him out of the game. In the sense, they physically bully him. They put this guy on him the last time he played and he didn't score. Brentford did it, and it worked out. Teams are actually trying to figure out City, and against Everton you see it. Yes, Haaland did score against Everton, but Everton had a few chances that they could have killed them down, lay down in the end. And City main focus this season look like it's Champions League. It's do or die. With them focusing on the Champions League, Arsenal do have a chance. to continue to push them. And hopefully he continue to think and overthink himself, overanalyze situation, and he do a Tottenham. Simple. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's what you're hoping for. But do you see that? You know, I keep hearing you saying, you know, Arsenal just want to make top four. Arsenal just want to make top four. So clearly you believe that somebody could catch you. Do you think City is that somebody?
City, Manchester United, Newcastle, um, them three, they are still in the title race. And I believe all three can catch us still, as Aaron rightfully said. The game with United versus Arsenal will be a huge game. Plus City versus United will be a huge game. That will set the tone for the whole January to February. To get rid of those fixtures, those big fixtures, because unfortunately, no matter how we try, we couldn't beat Manchester United. So they are a big team. They had to get Jack the Jacket. Those two games coming up here will be very, very, very good. Because Tottenham, as much as Tottenham may not be playing good football, they are boogie team for City. Pep does overthink, and they were just all of a sudden you might see Kane and Son just come alive. Right? And that's the reality of how the league is. Hopefully, once we get over them hurdles, we should prove to finish in the top four.
All right, cool. Let's look at the new boys, the guys who moving from taking it from a top 6 to a top 7. Let's look at Newcastle, who are presently third place. When they came back, they played Leeds to a 0-0 draw, and then they played Arsenal to a 0-0 draw. Aaron mentioned it earlier. Newcastle not necessarily scoring a lot of goals, but defensively, they are definitely one of the top teams in the Premier League when it comes to defense. How apart from we have to give Eddie Howe his props for what he's done with his team. But I don't know how far you think Eddie could take them. Do you think he could see them into European football, or you think
Well,
they're gonna fall off?
yeah, no. So I mean, I always respected Eddie Howe as a coach. I mean, in his days at Bournemouth, I think he did wonders with that team. And I personally think he's overachieving with Newcastle. Newcastle, with the investments that they made, they didn't bring in a lot of big guns. They brought in some key players, which was, I'm surprised that they're in the top four. And if I were the owners of the club, I would be surprised that they're in the top four. And I would invest as much as I could in January to ensure that they do finish in a top four position, because I think they'll need to speed up some targets that they had in the summer, because if they finish in our top four, taking them into the Champions League, that's going to change the dynamic of the club immediately. So it means that 1 year after the purchase, you essentially change the profile of the club. So I would think that now is the time for Newcastle to invest. Whether Eddie Howe is the man to continue coaching him. I mean, it's hard to sack a coach that has achieved so much with so little. But for them to be competing for the title, I think they're gonna need a quality coach. And it's akin to what Chelsea did with Thomas T, and when they sacked him and they brought in Potter. I just that for me that was an unbelievable decision by Chelsea ownership. And I think you're seeing the results of that now. But and I think Eddie Howe, he's overachieved with the squad. I think he's gonna have a lot of work to do to keep them in the top four if he doesn't get any major investment in January. But I do think that they will finish in a European position where they'll either play Europa or Conference League or something. But at least that too will change the profile of Newcastle.
True. One of the things I always have in the back of my mind when I think about Newcastle is that old saying that defense wins championships. Now, do I think Newcastle are genuine title contenders this year? No, I don't. But if defense wins championships and defensively they are one of the best teams in the league, you had to think it should be good enough for them to hold on to a top 4 place. You know what I mean? Because nobody see Arsenal, who is scoring bunch of goals, struggle. City struggled against them in their game. Liverpool only beat them because of in my opinion, a bad VAR call, right? Not don't beat them. I think Liverpool drew with them, but they only got points from that game, from Newcastle because of a bad VAR call. So Newcastle, Manchester United struggled. Newcastle seemed to be defensively doing the business. So, talk to me, Tristan. What are your thoughts on Newcastle?
Newcastle defensively, they're very solid. Attacking wise, they catch it good on the counter. They have Wilson. They have this big striker they bring in from Spain. He hasn't started. He scored some goals and then he got injured. So Ishak should be back for them at the business time of the season. Wilson been pulling his weight.
And
don't forget
and they also benefit from not playing European football, I think, as well. That ability to prepare properly in the middle of the week.
But you've been struggling with this injury throughout his career. So this is nothing big, because the amount of games he missed for Newcastle is the same amount of games he missed for his club previously. He used to play for in Spain. So he should come back and he'll be extra motivated, because there was one thing. Newcastle offer him Champions League bonuses. And with the type of money these fellas making right now, they'll be motivated. Oh, the coach have them playing, I call them the Atletico Madrid of the Premier League. This break, the coach he took, I see the younger Simeone in him, in the sense how tactical, intelligent, how defensively wise they are. Even the forward come back as the last man to defend. And they catch things mostly on the counter. They have quick players. Jolinton, who was a flop, mind you, as a striker, they put him in the midfield. That was a big move. You understand? And I give the coach a lot of credit, the players, everybody a lot of credit for how they had the club running right now. And they could splash money, and they actually didn't splash no money. So imagine when they start to splash money and they qualify for Champions League. That'd be a horse of a different color.
Yeah, because you're gonna say something, Arun?
No.
Oh yeah, because Arun mentioned the trajectory and changing the profile of the club, and to me, it looked like the owners had a 3-year plan. Right, the first one was to stay in the Premier League. Year 2 would be to finish mid-table. Year 3 would be to push for Europe, and now they're skipping. They are capable of skipping a whole year, and they, I think, in the back rooms have to be studying, well, if we could really invest in this team, maybe we could save ourselves some stress going forward, because European football is what's going to draw the big players. There are a lot of players that not just move by the big paychecks, because they know they will get the big paychecks anyway. Top players want to play top leagues. And if they could get European football, plus they have the financial backing, I think the Premier League is just going to continue to be the hardest league to win going forward. It's just going to get harder and harder. So let's talk about Manchester United. 4th in the league, level on points with Newcastle, with a game in hand. Well, let's go through some Newcastle. Nottingham Forest was Manchester United first game back. They won that game 3-0. Martial, Rashford, and Fred on the score sheet. The second game in the Premier League since they came back was a tight affair with Wolves. Now, I know Wolves in the relegation zone, but for whatever reason, Manchester United versus Wolves has always been a tough fixture for Manchester United. The last 3 times Manchester United played Wolves, they all finished 1-0. Twice for United, 1 for Wolves. So that is definitely always a tough game, but United came out winners. Rashford, the man on fire. Rashford, 7 goals at Old Trafford in a row, right? Tying Rooney's record. Um, the team itself is in good form, keeping clean sheets, something that we haven't seen for a long time. So all the factors look good, except Aaron, the fact that Martial isn't ripping up trees. Anthony, after the phenomenal start of 3 goals in 3 games, when he came to the club, he's been struggling to really set the place on fire. He's just been doing an okay job, but not a great job. And Cristiano Ronaldo is out the door, according to the club, low finances. So we might not necessarily be getting anybody in January. Rashford is on fire, yes, but where the goals going to come from for United to hold on to this top 4 position, Aaron, boy, going forward?
Yeah, so so I just want to take deal with it from the point in time when Cristiano left the club, right? So when he was no longer in the dressing room. I mean, we speak about it on the WhatsApp groups. Since he's been out of the dressing room, Chad, United has won every single game since, right?
True.
I mean, these, coming back from the World Cup, I think the objective for the team, their supporters, the management was to win those games. Make sure that we were in a good footing going into the big games in January. In January, I think January is when we have the real test. Playing City, playing Arsenal. Those other teams, I think the expectation would have been to win those games, but we've known in the past that we haven't won all those games, right? The Wolves game, like you said, it doesn't matter if they're in the relegation zone. Wolves shows up against United every single time. It's one of the hardest teams for us to beat for some reason. So I think that we've done we prepared well going into these tough January fixtures. Um, you remember that season when Bruno came? Bruno was a massive goal scorer and goal contributor. His assist and goals ratio was phenomenal. And I think during the time when Cristiano was at the club, he underperformed. I think that was a pressure situation with Bruno and Cristiano. I think he just couldn't thrive as much as he did in the past. And I think going into the last half of the season, you're gonna see a much better Bruno Fernandes in the team in terms of contributing to the goals. So I mean, I know we're concerned. We're concerned about where the goals will come from because Martial has been underperforming. He's been underperforming for quite a few years now. But I do think that if United could get a loanee in, I mean, a lot of people talk about João Felix. I'm not a big fan of João Felix. If he comes in, maybe he will be able to impact. Maybe not because
Memphis Depay is another name.
correct.
I'm not a big
I
fan of
think
him either.
correct. So I think of all the names being touted, actually, I one of the names I prefer is Chupamoting because he's a physically strong striker. He's accustomed to the Premiership. He's done well in Germany, so I think he can make an impact if he comes back to the team. But I mean, the goals seem to be coming. The goals seem to be coming from all angles. So the midfield contributes. United. You've seen that after the World Cup, United has spent a lot of effort on set pieces, on the dead balls. So you're seeing differences in tactical moves when they put balls in the box, coming from free kicks, coming from corners. So that's something that we didn't see in the first half of the season. Pre World Cup. So I think those things you've seen work being done in the background. I do think that we're gonna do well. We're gonna finish top 4 in the season. Whether we'll challenge for the championship. I don't think we have that depth to challenge for the championship, but I think Ten Hag has said that his focus is to finish top 4. Anthony, Anthony is a little bit touch and go. I mean, I personally feel that we got the wrong winger in the summer. I thought that Gakpo would have been a better option, but I mean you can't buy every single player that's out there. There was an article today that Anthony spoke about him having a personal issue coming back from the World Cup, and the team stood by him. Ten Hag stood by him. So hopefully there's a change that's on the horizon for Anthony as well, because again, that goal yesterday was a goal well made. A lot of attacking players would have just let that ball run past and not made the attempt to score that goal, and I thought it was a hell of a goal. So Ten Hag was right when he spoke about the hunger that the players that he brought in has, the Casemiro, the Malacia, the Anthony, the Martinez. Those are four very hungry players, and you have Ericsson that really brings that team together. So I think if he gets one or two more players that he wants in, I think that can really set the stage for a good finish for the remainder of the season.
All right. Tristan, the only defeat Arsenal has suffered for the season has been to Manchester United.
And Cody Gakpo
I heard
PSG.
you. I heard you.
And
I
Cody
heard you.
Gakpo PSG.
Yeah, well, we're talking Premier League. It's a Premier League show.
I just had to add that in for Aaron.
So, so but do you see? I want to ask you this question, which is taking it a little different from the trajectory, the Premier League perspective. As a rival supporter, we've been trying to get a Chelsea man to come on the program, but I don't know, the Chelsea men and them, they're filling up all the catacombs and the tunnels, but I didn't know that catacombs in Trinidad, but them ain't scarce. Can't find a Chelsea man at all. So as a rival supporter, are you concerned about the resurgence of Manchester United, or you think it's just, nothing to be worried about?
As a rival supporter, I'm concerned, yes. What I'm concerned that they have the right coach at the right time. But give Jackie Jacket, I respect Eric Ten Hag. As much as I give Peacock and say, nice Pep Guardiola without tactics, and them kind of thing, that the ball head Pep Guardiola without tactics. You understand? He's a guy, you give him what he wants, he'll get you trophies. He'll make other clubs respect you. And that's what happening right now at Manchester United. The only thing that I'm happy with is that the director of football, he just like the old one, his predecessor, who they cannot run. Because the Glazers, which is owners, are the downfall of Manchester United. And I'm still happy with that. They could stay there for eternity. I'll be happy. Because they will release funds for players that they know definitely the club don't need. And time again, you've seen that. Like, for example, how long Manchester United was crying out for a centre defensive midfield? I knew it as their rival. The fans know it. They've been balling for years. Why take till Glazers out movement for you to splash money and get Casemiro in? Mind you, get him at the age of 30. He might get, 2-3 years from him. So you end up in that same problem again. And that predicament. Right? So the resurgence, yes, I'm a bit disappointed, but in a way I'm happy because how long since you guys won the league or won a title? About 6 years or something. So people don't
5
take
years
you
since the last trophy.
no more. Yeah, people don't take you guys seriously again no more. Right? So now when you're going to play Manchester, you have to study them because now they actually have a formation. They actually have a plan A and a plan B. You understand? And it's nice to see that my brother Aaron smiling again. You, Chad, smiling, It's nice to see such.
We just smile all the time, True Manchester United supporters, we don't hide and we don't cry. That's two things we don't do. But moving along, let's talk about
Tottenham.
What was that? I didn't hear your last comment.
No, I just say hopefully this new year, we just show the same love you guys just us in Old Trafford. Hopefully.
Chad, before we go into Tottenham, I just have just something to say about this season. This May will be 10 years since Alex retired, and this me, I have a special feeling about this year. There's something about this year that tells me there's something different about Manchester United and the kind of players that we brought in. Um, the trajectory of the team. I have a special feeling. And I think the next two fixtures are gonna tell me if that special feeling is something that you need to feel for the rest of the season, or something you need to wrap up and throw in the dustbin. Because the next two games are gonna set the for me the tone for the remainder of the season. It's gonna send a message to everybody involved that look, if United win these games, then they're the real deal. If
True.
we falter, if we drop points, even if we take points off Arsenal and City, it's gonna send a message because it's gonna impact the title race. But I think the next two games are really key for us, and I have a special feeling about this year. So let's see if that feeling carries through.
True,
I would say
true.
Brentford have a special feeling for you guys too, but okay, no problem.
Martin is saying, why are Arsenal fans so scared to say that they could win the league? There must be a reason for that. What's the reason, Tristan? What's the reason?
No, it's not. No, 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 no. It's not no reason. No. Before the season start, according to Mikel Arteta, his trajectory, top four the season, next season, the challenge for the league. That is it. Next
Yeah,
season, the
but
challenge for the league.
before the season start, Newcastle was just hoping to be a mid-table team. Now that they're here, their ambitions change. You're telling me Arsenal ambitions can't change in the middle of the season?
We have an injury. We have an injury to our star player, Gabriel Jesus, the man that changed everything for Arsenal.
Ooh, they really talking
And
like a politician
when
today,
Gabriel
Tristan.
Jesus got injured, majority of my Manchester United counterparts stated that that elephant on top of the tree will fall down. So I'll be that elephant on top of the tree, and I know I will fall down eventually. I will be humble and say I went up for.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. So, Tottenham Hotspurs, they started off, they came out of the World Cup break in fourth place. They presently sit fifth. They won their first game. Sorry, they drew their first game against Brentford. Harry Kane, Højbjerg on the score sheet, and their second game they lost to Aston Villa. Buendia and Douglas Luiz. Um, Tottenham is again one of those teams that seem to be up and down. Sometimes you look at them, you watch a couple games, and you say, "Yeah, boy, this coach have this team running," and then other times they just don't look good. They don't look dynamic. The kind of flair that Harry Kane and Son plays with. Some people may say maybe is a lack of form for Son. I don't know. What you think is the reason for Spurs inconsistency? If you have a thought on that, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, like I have good respect for players that Spurs has. I mean, I dream of the day Harry Kane runs out in a Manchester United jersey. Um, but they are one of the most inconsistent teams in the league. They've been inconsistent throughout the last decade. They've been top four. They've been in a Champions League final. They've finished second in the league, challenging for the league in that year. So it's and then now they're struggling. They're struggling to get into the top four to have consistent performances. I think Spurs you never it's like Forrest Gump used to say, Mama says life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So with Spurs, you never know what you're gonna get, and I hope that the next match day we get the best that Spurs can offer, because that London derby is gonna be so key to everybody involved. But I think Conte has a way to get in the players' head as well. You realize when shit hits the fan, Conte throws his hands up and say, yeah, well, he tries his best, and he's doing what he could, but the players doesn't seem to be interested in taking the club up to where they can be. So his style of man management is a little bit different. But yeah, I think Spurs continue to be the most inconsistent team. I mean, whether I do think that they may finish top four in the league, just edging out Newcastle. Because the other traditional top six teams, I just don't see them challenging for that top four spot with the issues that they have right now. So Spurs, I think they'll finish top four. Champions League, I think they'll be out in the at the quarters at the round of 16, somewhere around there. So let's see how they go. But Spurs have a couple key players that I know Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United fans have their eyes on, and Harry Kane for me has always been one of those players. So
All right, all right. I mean, Spurs' next game, as Aaron alluded to, is Arsenal. Harry Kane does have a tendency of scoring goals on Arsenal. Talk to me, Tristan. What are your thoughts on Spurs and this
I
distance?
don't like Spurs. Never like them. They and Manchester United are my two favorite
You
team. I
can't,
love to
you
beat
can't
them
like
every day.
Spurs as a
I love
rival
them
London
every day.
club.
I just like to beat them every day. But get Jared jacket, they're unpredictable. Like today they played, I don't know if you guys knew, they played Portsmouth today. They win 1-0. But with the 1-0, Portsmouth had 18 shots. Spurs conceded 18 shots and only score with the one shot they had on target. Right? 18 shots, when you look at the statistics, 18 shot, 12 was on target. Portsmouth play all over Spurs today, but Spurs win the game. That's just how Tottenham is. That's how Conte has his team. So they're unpredictable, right? I will think that Harry Kane and Son and them fellas might be aging. They're no longer young. The squad is aging. We know Conte like mature older players to come in, and Spurs management, Levy and company, they like young guys. They like young players. So the philosophy between the coach and the owner and the technical director, in between, and that's good for us as rival fans because it shows that they're in sync. And if Tottenham is in sync, you get what it is Spurs did last season. They finished in the top four, but right now everything is all over the place. Right? It serves us. It serves us in terms of we'll have one of the top four dropping out of the one of the top four forces, no longer being a top four and being a top six candidate. And it serves us in terms of where the transfer market is. They will no longer compete, although they were not competing.
I think that's more than anything else. That's because Spurs just don't like to spend money. It's not that they can't attract
No,
talent.
no, they have no. It's not that. It's because of the stadium and whatnot. Remember, they
Yeah,
competing.
yeah. This is what I mean.
So yeah,
They're very frugal financially.
but
And
they're
I
not
mean,
mess. They'll be
Conte,
not messing to
I'm
do
not, I'm not saying
champion.
Conte don't like stars. I don't know a manager that don't like stars, but Conte is
No,
not a
you don't like
star manager.
mature. You like mature fellas, veterans,
Yeah,
seasoned veterans. You don't
yeah.
like young coming.
That's a good match, except for the fact, as they say, that he and Levy don't seem to be seeing eye to eye a lot of the
And that
time.
will benefit us as rival fans.
So I mean,
Because
I can't say it pains me because it really doesn't. I only disappointed that I don't have any Chelsea people on the panel today. But we must talk about Chelsea because Chelsea is traditional one of the powerhouses in England and normally a serious Big Six team, even though at present they sit 10th in the league right now. Um, Chelsea sit 10th on 25 points. They are 10 points outside of the relegation zone
woo,
and 10 points outside of the top four. So Chelsea are even split, right? 10 points away from the top four, 10 points away from the relegation zone. They're
I'm
right there in
sorry,
the middle.
Gilchrist not here. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
Gilchrist not here.
I agree. I agree. Um, Chelsea played Bournemouth coming out of the after the World Cup. They beat Bournemouth 2-0. Mount and Havertz on the score sheet. Kai Havertz was happy to finally, win a game with a football team. And, you tell yourself, well, all right, maybe Chelsea will, you know, start again to the swing of things. The next game, they played Manchester City. No, they played Nottingham Forest. Am I saying the right thing here? Let me just make sure.
Yeah, they play Nottingham Forest
Yeah, they
and
played
drew.
Nottingham Forest and they drew 1-1. Sterling on the score sheet. And then they would have played this week Manchester City and lost 1-0. In a hard fought game. Now, I think a lot of Chelsea supporters would say, here what? My team, the problem in my team is injuries. Right? Every time we play, somebody else pulling up injured. I don't know. I mean, I especially for those of us who play fantasy football, you would know about Reece James. You would like Reece James. When I saw Reece James get injured before the 60-minute mark, so he wasn't even going to get clean sheet points for him. Literally, 50-something minutes, the man get injured. You start to ask yourself, what is going on here? What is going on with this Chelsea team? You even start to wonder if it's something supernatural, if it's the team cursed, what it is going on, how guys just can't stay fit, getting injured, and the injuries just seem to be at critical junctures in games and in the season. That being said, Potter overall hasn't impressed me. There are a lot of people that have been wondering, with these mid-table managers that do well at mid-table teams, when you put them in a big team, there's another kettle of fish. Manchester United knows that all too well with David Moyes. So that's my perspective. But you guys talk to me. What do you see when you look at Chelsea? Talk to me, Tristan. It's
I will
another
say
London rival.
I just call Chelsea the London Cowboys. Why I say the London Cowboys? They have an owner that just come in. If you say you're a star player, felt money. If you good, felt money. Potter's a good manager. He has good philosophy, he has good ideas on how to govern and how to run the football team. As he clearly said in his interview, he's a football team, first team manager. He's not the overall manager as to hardly say what to do and what not to do. I refer to that. First team coach. That way he is. He's a coach. He's not the manager. He's a coach at Chelsea. Right? So he has no say. If the London Cowboy owner say we buy this player and this player don't suit his chemistry or suit the team, he had to put that player in the team. And that is very difficult to do. Right? You get rid of, to me, the one man who could have get them out of the trouble. And since that, it's all downhill. Now, Potter had to deal with a team where it have players who don't play his system like in Brighton. To me, Chelsea probably had to go and buy the whole Brighton football team in order for them to look good. They don't buy all the coaches already and the staff and the scouts, right? So hopefully they just buy the players now. And that is what they seem to be doing. Look, they're going after Casado, Next thing you might hear, they're going after the Argentine, who everybody looking at McAllister. So their whole problem is the owner need to talk to the football coach, the first team football coach, and ask him the question, what can we do to improve? Because he's buying players that don't suit the style, and Potter just had to coach them. That is just my 2 cents for them. And as a rival, I'm so happy with that. They are Tottenham.
True.
Aaron,
what he says there is correct, because one of the things when you go to Chelsea as a manager is that you don't have the kind of control and say, right? Chelsea's structure before the new ownership was they decided their transfer plans, they made all the big decisions and pretty much dictated to the manager certain things, right? You dealing with the game preparation, But in terms of everything else, we dealing with it. I remember even way back on Mourinho, when Mourinho wanted to extend what was the name of the player, boy? Can't remember the name of the player, but there was a player, a defender that he wanted to extend the contract, and the club was like, no, you could get 1 year, you over 30. And Mourinho was like, yeah, but this man important to the team, get him. And the club was, no, we not give it. Policy is 1 year, you over 30, you could get 1 year. If you don't want that, you could bust out. Right? So Chelsea has been that way for a long time. None of them now start to do that. And I thought maybe with the changes that would have happened in the boardroom, that maybe Chelsea would have changed. Apparently, they still run top down, right? In terms of board members having very important says on the day-to-day running of the club. But do you think that is the real issue, or do you think Potter just the shoe's too big for him to fill?
Yeah, so I mean, I think some of the points Tristan made is valid points. So two teams I really don't like is Chelsea and Liverpool. So when they're in a slump, I really enjoy it. Not so much that I don't like the teams, but their supporters are some of the most annoying. And I know they could say the same thing about United fans, and there are some very annoying United fans, and I know that. So I mean, just let me start there. So I come with a slight bias when I talk about Chelsea, right? Um, I was surprised that because I always looked at Abramovich as a very ambitious owner owner in the Premiership. When he wanted a title, he would spend the money, he would bring the players, and he would get a title, be it the Premiership, be it in Champions League. Whether he wants the best coach in the system for the time, he would bring that person in. When he was forced to sell, I thought Bowley coming in didn't understand football as well as other owners, and I think Chelsea has that problem with having executive owners like an executive president where they just make the decisions and everybody else needs to fall in line. I think Chelsea's season started to go downhill when they took the decision to sack Thomas T. I thought that he's. I mean, I have great respect for Thomas. I thought he's a hell of a coach. To do what he did with Chelsea in the time that he was there was an amazing job. So I think that's the first instance where the ownership failed the club in sacking him. Bringing in Potter, I didn't think Potter was the right profile for a Chelsea Football Club. I thought that they could have gotten somebody bigger. There were a couple other coaches who were available at the time that they could have gotten. Even Pochettino is in my view better than Potter. And then the season started to slide when players started to get injured. So I thought that when Reece James got injured, he was a key player. He was a key player to Chelsea. So and then the injury list just started to pile up and stack up. I think Kante is a player they've missed for the last couple of seasons. We've almost forgotten that Kante is a Chelsea player because he just hasn't featured in a very long time.
True,
So
true.
I think those players are players that they miss, and as the list grows, I think they're gonna end up in a bigger problem. But the thing about Chelsea is that they have financial power and they can bring in whoever they want whenever they want. And I think in the January window, they've spent they brought in the most players so far of all the clubs in the Premiership, and they are capable of bringing in any other player that they want. It seemed that they wanted Enzo, but Benfica was playing hardball. They immediately turned their attention to Moses Caicedo, and I think he's a quality player again, Ecuadorian. He is destined to play for Manchester United, but so be it. You can't get every other player that you want. But if they go after him, Chelsea continues to say that they understand that they're in problems as it is right now, but they have the financial power to do things that not many other clubs can do. And it's for them to make the right decisions, and they could get their season back on track. I mean, maybe they don't want to finish in a top seven place to have to play Thursday football, Thursday and Sunday football, because that really affects the dynamics of the league, right? And when you take it back to when Conte won the league with Chelsea, that was the year that he played no other competitions apart from domestic competition. So they were able to focus on the domestic competitions and win the league. and not all the time big teams have that ability to just focus on the league. So I think that was a key with when he won the league with Chelsea. But I think Chelsea is a very ambitious team. They can really, if they want to splash the cash, they can do it. They can get the players in to make a bigger push, a better push, because there's more than half the season to go, and they're still in the Champions League. So there's no reason for them to throw their hats up and throw their hands up and say, look, let's write off the season. So I mean, if they really want to make a difference, they can spend the money and bring in the right players. But I'm very happy to see where they are right now.
I don't think most people would argue with you there. I forgot Liverpool. How could we forget Liverpool? I mean, Liverpool is a team that has been first or second in the Premier League consistently for the past few seasons. We had to talk about Liverpool. Liverpool sit presently in sixth position. They played Aston Villa coming out after the World Cup. They won that game comfortably with goals from Salah, Van Dijk, and Biesevich, Biestik, whoever. Liverpool supporters, you all know who I'm talking about. Everybody else, no one cares. And after that, they played Leicester, who they also defeated 2-1. Alexander Arnold and Darwin Nunez scoring in those games. This week going here, Liverpool. Why am I not seeing Liverpool? Right. Liverpool lost to Brentford 3-1. They should have lost about 5, but they only lost 3-1. From the beginning of the season, this season, Liverpool has looked like they are just a buck short. They just seem off. I've heard some people talk about, is the club curse in the 7th season? That's it. Team that's just fall apart. But I don't understand how you could take a title-winning team, how you could take a Champions League winning team, how you could take a FA Cup winning team and just fall apart. Right? I just don't understand it. So even though I watch Liverpool and I could see them underperforming, I still struggle to understand why. What's the reason for this, this irregular performances from Liverpool? Yes, one could say, I've heard people say, they sold Mane and he was glue that was keeping the thing together. I've heard people say Firmino, getting down in age. You hear a lot of things. So I want to throw it to you guys. You talk to me. This is very uncharacteristic of Liverpool. Right? Not just being in this position, but just the kind of form. They could get licks 1 week and then go the next week and beat a side 9, as they did earlier in the season. Right? And after beating that side 9, and you say, yeah, they're back. The next game, they lose. You just don't know. And Klopp is almost comical, the excuses that Klopp makes. Klopp never blames, and I'm not saying you should throw your players under the bus, but he never says my team underperformed or we didn't do it. He always blaming some. Is the referee? Is the coach? Is the pitch? I mean, one day he'll say the ball boys on the side. You know what I mean? You just always excuses with Klopp. So Liverpool is just not falling. They're not doing well. Let me just read this comment, and then Tristan, you tell me your thoughts on Liverpool. Martin Phillips says, my mantra is beat Liverpool at all costs. Sorry, Liverpool fans, but nothing is wrong playing Europa. For anybody who wasn't sure, obviously, Martin Phillips is not a Liverpool fan. He's actually a Manchester City supporter. So don't like Liverpool at all. But talk to me, Tristan. What's the situation with Klopp? Is it the 7-year curse?
So from the beginning is the 7th year of Klopp reigning as a coach. We both know definitely how that does end up. Secondly, I would say the injuries they get at key games especially in the back. Right now, they lose Van Dijk for several weeks, hamstring injury. As I said from beginning, I will say it now. I don't see Liverpool anywhere close to the top four. Newcastle will replace them, and I stand by my word when I say such. You seen it actually. They sell the wrong player in the summer. They sell the wrong player in the summer, and I have been saying that time and time again.
Let me just
What
now
what
stick
man?
up in. Let me ask you this question. Mane wanted more money, Salah wanted more money. Clearly, the board decided we are only going to pay one. Right?
Right?
That was the decision. Clearly, they decided we're going to pay one. They decided to pay Salah. They sold Mane for a measly 30 something million, right? A player of that
Small money.
caliber, a measly. Bayern Munich get a steal of a deal.
What?
So you are saying that they sold the wrong player. You thought they should have sold Salah?
Yeah. When you
All
have
right, go
size
ahead.
like when you have size like Manchester City and size like Real Madrid, who was interested in Salah in the summer, I would have cash
And they
in.
obviously
Do
would
like
have made a lot more money on a sale for Salah, probably over 100 million.
look, Philip Coutinho. He was their star gem at the point in time, and Barcelona crippled themselves making a purchase of Philip Coutinho. Right now, they cannot themselves balance the books because of those deals. Right, and when you look at it, they bring in a good player in Cody Gakpo, but that is not the main focus. The main focus should be midfield and defense. It's aging. Anybody can see that Liverpool don't press as they used to before. And yes, they beat up Bournemouth, but at a point in time, they beat up Bournemouth 9-0, and Bournemouth was on top of them in the table. Not so?
True.
So, right now, they need to go back and regroup. Alexander Arnold is having the season where Saka, Rashford, and Sancho came back from the World Cup. Mentally, he's not prepared to handle the pressure of being a defender, especially with Liverpool and in the Premier League. Everything he do, they criticize. Right? The only person can do no wrong is Harry Kane. He could throw the penalty and they love him. Right? So it goes back to say pressure, and the pressure is getting worse. That's sense I say it's getting worse for them. They need to regroup, strengthen the midfield and defense before they deal with their attacking output. But some will criticize me and say, but we attacking output, they wasn't providing any goals. If they are an award for the best striker that not good in the Premier League, that costs 100 million, you'll give it to the Uruguayan who cannot seem to be shooting on target. If he shoots on target, he hit the post, and you could clearly see in the last game, not the one they lose 3-1, the one that they lose to Villa. They lose to Villa, right? Aston Villa. When they came back
You're
from
breaking up on us,
the World
Tristan.
Cup. Sorry about that. When they came back from the World Cup, the game right after, where the guy hit the post twice and he scored one goal. Leicester they play. The best striker in the world. He's the best striker. He's the best world striker in the world. You need to give him that an award by himself. 100 million waste of money.
Well, just to back up Tristan's point, let me just pull up this graphic. This is Premier League stats for the most shots taken in the Premier League so far. You have Manchester City with 301 shots. You have Liverpool second with 293 shots. Right? Arsenal third. Spurs actually also take a lot of shots. Newcastle, West Ham, a little surprised to see West Ham in this table at all because they score, there's numbers for scoring are so poor. Manchester United up there with 244, and then Chelsea are actually 16th on this list with only 186 shots. Now, we're talking shots, and then I want to now let's talk about goal. Even though Liverpool have the second amount of shots, their goal tally, they fourth on the goal tally with 34 goals. Manchester City with 45 goals so far. Arsenal 40 goals so far. Spurs 37 goals. So clearly they're defense is the problem. And you actually have teams like Newcastle, Brighton, Brentford, and Fulham all having more goals than Manchester United. So when you look at all of these stats, when you look at all of the factors that we would have been speaking about throughout the course of the program, let me get your top 4 predictions now, gentlemen. Talk to me. Aaron, who do you see staying in the top 4 come the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think City will win the league. I think Arsenal could finish second or third. United could finish third or second. And I think to round it all up, I think Spurs will edge out Newcastle in the top 4.
All right.
Yeah.
You think Conte is going to get it done? Talk to me, Tristan. I see you shaking your head. Where do you disagree?
I agree with him. City is to win the league. I've been adamant with such. Arsenal to finish second. I didn't see United finishing third. In my prediction, I said Chelsea would have done better than them. But they seem to be getting the business done. Rashford came back with some form and confidence, and he's been doing a lot of hard work for them. You all definitely need a striker though if you guys had a challenge for the third place. But I see Newcastle just edging it above you guys. It's between you all and Tottenham for the 4th place. But the way how things looking, it will remain just the same. The same top 4 will remain the top 4 from season end.
So exactly those in top now, we expect to be there at the end.
Yeah.
Martin Phillip agrees with you, but he picks City to win, United to be second, Arsenal third, and Newcastle 4th. I picked City at the beginning of the season, and I still believe City is City's league to lose. That being said, it is hard to not look at what Arsenal is doing and start taking them serious. Even as somebody who may not like Arsenal, it's just hard to every week watch Premier League games and keep with this attitude like, yeah, Arsenal will just follow the tree. Yeah, Arsenal will just follow the tree. Every week that passes that they remain on the top and City and other teams drop points, it starts to weigh on my mind. But for now, my expectation is still City will win the league. Arsenal will come second. Manchester United, not Arsenal, sorry, Manchester United will come second. Arsenal will come third. Because when they fall, I think they're gonna fall hard. I don't think they're gonna fall. They're not gonna fall out at the top 4. But if they fall, let me don't say when. If they fall, and I actually think Eddie Howe.
Oh, I wanted to say when they fall
is going to Newcastle. But before we leave, we must talk. Before the show ends, we must talk a little bit about some of the that are upcoming. Manchester United next 2 games are against Manchester City and Arsenal in the league, right? We have a game on Tuesday, but there's in league, which is what this program is about. And as Arun mentioned earlier, depending on what happens out of those 2 games is going to decide how seriously Manchester United should be considered as title contenders or just looking to finish in the top 4. However, Liverpool play Brighton. And after that, Liverpool play Chelsea. So you have 2 other top 6 playing each other. And then also you have Spurs. Spurs play Arsenal. And then Spurs play Manchester City. So, folks, 6 weeks in the Premier League, the next 2 weeks in the Premier League are going to answer a lot of questions. The only team right now in the Big 6+1 that have easy fixtures in the next 2 weeks is Newcastle. Newcastle play Fulham and they play Crystal Palace. Everybody else, the traditional top six, are going to play at least one other top six team. And in the case of United, in the case of City, in the case of Spurs, they are going to be playing two of the traditional top six teams in the next 2 weeks. So stay tuned to the EPL Rewind. We're going to be breaking it all down, giving you all the information. And where's your prediction? Where's your top four? Comment in the comments below. You were right, you were wrong, whatever the case may be. In closing comments, let's start with the man who's on top of the table. Tristan, what do you close off by saying today? Looking forward, when you look at Arsenal next 2 games, what expectation for us next 2 games?
My expectations, I've been honest, we get some reinforcement into assist with the ease of not having Gabriel Jesus, who's a big loss for us. So hopefully getting a winger and a striker in before we play the North London derby. My preferred option would be João Felix. He'll fit our system in good.
Just
He,
now. You need a winger and a striker before next week.
yeah, one or two.
All right, go ahead.
Right. I would like to get João Felix in as a striker. Eddie Nketiah, he's been doing the business. But João Felix is a big game player. He's done it for against United, he done it against Tottenham,
Atleti.
Chelsea, with Atletico Madrid. Right. Simeone team is a defensive team, and if you put him in a attacking team, you will see exactly how he played for Portugal in the World Cup. He scored and he assisted. And that's what we need right now. We need somebody who could play that focal point, who would come in and give us that Bruno Fernandes push. Somebody who will come in and score goals and, carry up the numbers, new to the league and start the league running. So that's what we need right now to do, give us that extra push to kind of like challenge for the top four and cement our place.
What is the expectation? You're seeing 2 wins? You're seeing a win and a draw? 2 draws? What are you seeing?
With Tottenham, it's very hard based on the last game we had. We're going to have it real hard because we have Saliba on a yellow for suspension, and we have a big game against United. We have Saka, who has been on a yellow. He is a yellow away from things. So I'm not sure in terms of the PGW if they want us to play you guys at a full strength team or they want to weaken us some more. I don't know, but hopefully I will take a win and a draw. No matter how it comes, I win and a draw, and I know City will drop points in between. So I'm being realistic. If I take 4 points now, I'll be happy. But if you tell me, well, all right, before the game, you take 6, and I put 6 points. I snatch your hand now, and that's the reality of it.
All right, I hear that. Our own final words with Manchester United have on paper, playing City and Arsenal. 2 hardest games you could face at this stage of the season.
Yeah.
What are your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, going into these 2 games, I think we best positioned to play these 2 teams at this stage, coming off the run of games that we've had and the performances defensively, we're pretty sound. We had a bad goal yesterday. We could chalk that up to a poor mistake, but I think now is the time in the season we want to play City and we want to play Arsenal. I think if we could take 4 points away from the 2 fixtures, that will put us in a good position. Of the 2 fixtures, I see City being the harder team for us. Although when we played Arsenal earlier in the season, they played very well. I mean, Arsenal continues to play very well, but I see our harder.
Without our star midfield, remember that without our star midfield,
and you're gonna be missing your star striker. So so I think that City will be the hardest game for us just because of that Haaland factor. And if we take 4 points out of it, United will be happy. I, as a fan, will be happy. I'd like to get 6 points, just to put that little added pressure on Arsenal. But if we take 4 points, I'll be happy. And there's plenty of games to play still in the season. So 4 points out of these big ones, we can live with that. I don't know if we lost Chad there. I think.
I think we lost it. I'm gonna be careful. Charlie muted. Charlie muted.
Oh, sorry, and Ariel talking, you know. I'm talking away. Yeah, for myself, this is where the rubber meets the road for Manchester United. Um, Ten Hag has gotten this team to believe. He has unified the dressing room. He has taken away the player power. People are playing for him. They understand it's his team. And for those of us who remember what the Sir Alex reign was like, that is exactly how Sir Alex ran his team. It was his team. It didn't matter the name of the stars. It didn't matter who was in the back. You know, the who was on the board. It was Sir Alex's team. And Ten Hag has come in very short order, put things right on the pitch and in the dressing room. So I expect at the very least a better performance. And by a better performance, I'm not speaking scoreline, right? City may win 1-0. That doesn't necessarily mean it was a good performance. But I expect United to put forward a better performance against Manchester City to be very competitive. And I would take a draw. I would take a draw against City. Arsenal, I mean, what would it be if we don't do the double against Arsenal? I think Arsenal would be disappointed if they don't get licks. You know what I mean? Somebody had to be them, and nobody else seems to be willing. Interesting. Nobody else seems to be willing to beat all here. So I have to agree with
Take all the laugh
Aaron.
now, Pat. Take all the laugh. All is yours. All is yours.
I would have to agree with my two co-hosts. 4 points of the next two games. We take that. So all of us can't get what we want, right? Clearly. The 4 points we looking for and the 4 points Tristan looking for is two totally different 4 points. So we'll see how it goes. But the Premier League thing's nice, and we expect it only to be nicer. Glad for you to be able to join in. Hope 2023 gives you all everything you wish for and more. Remember, keep it locked on the United Hour. A lot more exciting content. If you haven't taken a look at our We Outside series, definitely get familiar with that. We're going to be hitting some spots throughout the carnival season, taking in a little bit of the Caribbean and Trinidad vibe, as well as talking football, right? This is our football channel, so that's what we just do, talk football, no matter where we go. Keep it locked, and next weekend we're going to be here right again on the United Hour, talking Premier League football on the EPL Rewind. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, people.
Don't sleep on United.
Support the United Hour. Click that like button and subscribe.